Hi everyone, welcome back to Art This Week. Really excited that spring is here and we're seeing some beautiful flowers outside. And we're going to do a lovely artwork this week by a lady called Lisa Congdon. She's our inspiration. Lisa creates beautiful artworks and we're going to make this artwork, our flower artwork. And let's learn a little bit about Lisa and her beautiful illustrations and artwork that she produces, and then we'll start making our own inspired artwork. Lisa Congdon is an artist, author and illustrator who currently lives and works in Portland, Oregon in the United States. Lisa uses bold colours and flowing lines in her artworks that give the feeling of happiness. Lisa was not always an artist. She started her working career as a teacher. After she started going to art lessons, she realised that this was a part of her life that she wanted to pursue and eventually launched her career as an artist. Okay, so now we're going to do our own Lisa Congdon inspired artwork. We are going to use a lot of shapes, circle shapes, and this U shape for a tulip to create our artwork, and we're going to use some strong line and pattern to create our beautiful spring flowers. So let's have a look at what we need. Okay, paper. You're going to need your green A4 piece of paper that is in your art pack. Now, you will also have one other piece of paper in your art pack. It could look like any of these. I mixed it up so everyone sort of maybe got a slightly different piece of paper. So find your colourful piece of paper. That is the other one you're going to need. Okay, so they're the two, your colourful piece of paper and your green background today. Okay, these are the other things you're going to need. First of all, circle tracer. I have this one that I've got at school, but you can use all sorts of things like little cups and bottles, even glue stick lids can be really helpful. So we need a variety, about 4 or 5 smallish circle shapes. Okay, pencil, scissors. I'm using a Sharpie and a more of a slightly finer tipped black texture. But if you would like to use a black crayon or even a white crayon, it's your choice. You get creative and see what you can come up with, but that's what I'm using today. We need glue stick, and if you've got one, a hole punch, and we'll that helps us to make the very little confetti looking dots that we've got around our page. Okay, so now to start with our circles, I'm going to turn my coloured piece over, so I'm using the black on the back, and I'm going to sort of trace a number of circles. I'm going to just do them down one side, and I'll show you my little trick. So that's 3, let's see if I can find and fit this shape in as well. There we go, so that's 4 size circles, and then I'm going to fold that over, so when I cut them out I cut 2 at a time, and that should give me enough. Let's see, for this one I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that would give me 8. Depending on the size of your circles, you might need more or less, but it's all down to the size. So I'm going to save this piece of paper up for some more things in a minute, and I'm just going to cut round my circles carefully, keeping my scissors as still as possible and turning the paper with my hand. I've come a little bit in on that one, but that's okay. There's 2, they're going to make beautiful flowers. These ones, I like to just have the piece of paper that I'm cutting in my hand at the time. So I'm going to go along and cut those out. Okay, so now I've got my 8 circles cut out. I definitely need some more things going on, but instead of circles, I'm going to do the tulip shapes, which are these U-shaped ones. So I'm going to put in about maybe 3 or so of those. So to do that, I'll move that one out of the way. I've got my colored piece of paper that I've got left, and I'm going to draw at the bottom, down here, just a simple U shape that I'm happy with. Okay, I've just drawn 1, but I want 3. So to do that, I'm going to fold my U over once, that way, and then again the other side, and then cut out my U shape. You can do them different sizes. That always looks good. Okay, and I haven't got them quite, I might have one quite tall one, and I might make those ones a bit smaller. A little bit more narrow. And that means I've done them quite quickly now. So now I've got my tulip shapes and my circle shapes. I'm arranging them on the page. Have I glued down yet? No, I have not. Because I want to make sure my composition is, that I'm happy with my composition before I glue down. Okay, making sure that I've got some nice spread out flowers, some close together. What also I like is some popping off the page a little bit, and that makes the artwork look as if it is going to continue on. It's bigger than it is. Makes the viewer think that it is bigger. So I'm fairly happy with that now. So I'm going to glue that on, and even just to make sure that I glue these two that are off the page a little bit, and I'll get to cutting those off in a minute. I'm going to keep them stuck on, and I'll cut them off soon. Here's to gluing. Okay, so now we're going to start putting in the detail of our flowers. Okay, with Lisa Congdon, she has got some of these dots in the middle and lines, repeating dots shapes and repeating line shapes to create those. So I'm going to have a go at adding those in. You can have a look at my handout. I'm going to use a combination of a Sharpie because it's got a thicker, stronger line to it, or a thinner one. That's completely up to you what you do. You could use a different color or a variety of colors. You go ahead and choose what you would like to do. So all I'm going to do to start with is add the dots to the middle, and then I will do a radial design, which means I'm going to do lines on breaking it up into quarters, then break those up, and then I'm going to change pen to make give it a thinner line. I'm going to do 2 thinner lines in between, or smaller lines. So I've got a radial design. It's coming from the inside out. So I'm going to continue doing that on my circles, and then the tulip shape, I'm going to just add these extra smaller tulip shapes inside. Okay, so now I've got all my patterns on. Don't forget to have a look at my handout that is attached to the slides, so you can get an idea of some patterns that you can do for your flowers. Okay, so now I've done my patterns on my flowers. These 2 that are hanging off the edges, I'm going to trim them up. Just going to very carefully trim them so they match the page. There we go. Now I've got my lovely artwork. It's coming together. Before I started to think, actually, it's looking a bit strange at the moment, but as I keep working on it and keep improving it, it's getting better and better. Okay, so now I need to add on the stems and leaves of the plant. Okay, I've got lots of these lovely curved leaves, some stems, and just also some other filler plants that I've put in. Have a look at the handout as well. There's some ideas on there. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, my stems are on. I've done a variety. I've done two lines together for the tulips, and then just one thick line for the other flowers. Probably could have done some that were, I've got this one leaning, but I probably could have done some that were a little bit more curved, but that's okay. It's starting to get exciting now. Now for leaves. Okay, I've added the leaves on for the flowers. Just a reminder to make sure some of your stems can go behind other flowers, and sometimes a leaf might go behind or over the top to make it look different, to make it look a little bit more realistic. Okay, so we're getting closer. I've got my tulip leaves on now, which are a little bit different. They're more pointed leaf to my rounded leaf there for my flowers. So we're nearly finished, but to give it a little bit more fun, to make it a little bit more interesting, we're going to do the little dots. So to do that, we need your hole puncher and the last bit of your paper. What I'm going to do is just fold a line down there to double up so we can get lots of interesting holes. So all we need to do here is click here, and I end up with all these jumping holes. Try to take up as much, use up as much of that paper as we can. I'm collecting a lovely amount here of my little tiny circles. And that, I'm sure, is plenty. Now you've got to gather. Okay, now I've got my pointy leaves on my tulips, my round leaves on my flowers. I love a leaf because you can fill up a space that might be missing. If not, you can also add on such as a plant that has just little leaves like this up and down its stalk. Oh, try not to rush it. And that sometimes can just fill in a bit of background space if you are looking to fill in a space. If you find that a bit of your artwork is looking a little bit empty, you can add in these, what I call filler flowers. Okay, filler plants. Okay, the other thing we're going to do is add some of these tiny little circles. I have cut them out. I've folded over one of the leftover piece, and I've used my hole punch, and I've collected a whole heap of these little circles, and we're going to glue those on and have a look at our finished piece. Okay, gluing these on, one thing you do need to be careful of is it can be a bit tricky. You might need to ask someone for help. Something I do, which I don't do this very often, but because there's so little, picking them up can be a little bit hard. Just sometimes putting a tiny dab of glue on your finger, then picking it up, you can then spot your little spots into the little gaps there. Depending on how many you pick up at once, you can. Oh, that one's a bit stuck together. My fingers are already a bit sticky. You're going to probably need to wash your hands a few times with this one. But these look great, filling in the little places in between. Just a tiny bit of glue. Try not to put it on top of the flowers, but in the spaces. Now, try not to add too much glue to the page. Sometimes you've got enough on your finger without using the glue stick. Okay, that starts to really make the artwork look like lots of fun. Okay, so filling up all those really interesting places. Come on, little guy. Okay, I'll keep working on that and show you my finished picture. There you go, we have our collage finished now. The little spots all over it give it a really lovely sense of fun. The colours are nice and springy. It looks fantastic. I think most people will really enjoy when looking at your beautiful artwork. I can't wait to see them on Seesaw. So this is our Lisa Congdon inspired spring art. Hope you enjoy. Bye.